This is development now, dev now. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. Those in the studio understand why I'm happy. Maybe along the show we may get to talk about it, but the focus, of course, is not why I'm shining all by 32. The focus is regarding our guest and her organization. You're plugging in for the First Man Development as a 360-degree media platform. And what do? We showcase the success stories of development organizations and, of course, try to let you see what they're doing, the challenges, and that way you're able to also support and find yourself in what they're doing. Be part of their advocacy because they're doing good and trying to make Nigeria, the country, better. All right. Of course, it's a global vision, but charity begins at home. So that's why you hear me saying Nigeria regarding this. My name is Bumi Afolabi, and I can tell you one thing. I'm yet to find someone who's seen any of our episodes. This is episode 10, and said, hey, it wasn't exciting. If you see this episode that's not exciting, just leave a comment down there. I'll return your data to you. The data you used on streaming the video, I'll return it back to you. Just leave your phone number and leave a comment there. I'll give it. I will give it. Welcome aboard. Of course, we're not alone. We have, I'm blessed amongst women today. But we have, for some reason, before we started, we're talking about it. I don't know how I've been able to put up with her for this number of years I've known her. You've known Ogbonna, Ogbonna can stress your life out. Ogbonna can be a pain on the finger. It's like when they want to take blood from you in the lab. That's Ogbonna, that pain. That's Ogbonna, Should I go? Should I tell them more?
Something with that, okay. I'm very lovely. Bumi had the best time with me, and I'm sure you have the best time with us. Welcome to episode 10 of Dev Now.
Oh, go now, watch you both, ladies and gentlemen.
No, good. All right. We've 10 amazing episodes with me. I'm so proud of the work that we have done.
Yes, we will be.
On episodes. How it just...
Yes. And keep watching what Dev Now has in stock for you, all right? So, without much further ado, we have our guest. She's beautiful. She's happy. Everybody's happy. Remember I told you everybody's happy? And, of course, we're excited that she is here with us today. She's the executive director of Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. So, like, Goodluck Jonathan Foundation? Yes. Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. Yes, that's Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. And she's the executive director. She is Anne Iyoni. Did I get that right? Iyonu. So you is editor already, but imagine I'm saying it again. We have the executive director, Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, Anne Iyoni. You're welcome.
Thank you. Club it to Dev Now. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. So for the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, of course, founded by the former president of Nigeria, that was President Jonathan, 2010-2015, and it's an independent, non-governmental organization established in the year 2015 for the advancement of peace and prosperity in the African continent.
Yeah, and they are dedicated to promoting peace and reconciliation, advancing democratic governance, advocating for inclusive governance and economic development, promoting citizens' rights and continental and national.
All right. Sounds amazing. Sounds like a lot.
I know.
Yeah, so we're going to now start chopping it down into bits by bits. Like we, this kidney kind of mix that you see in this really hot.
Milk plate?
It's funny enough, I had to. But,
Anyway,
that's the best way I can describe it. They're devil in our audience. But many of them like food. All right. So, that's what anybody would see on your website, but I'm sure there's more to it. So tell us about the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation.
okay. Thank you for asking that question. But like you said, it was funded by the former president, 2010 to 2015, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. And for us at the foundation, I think very heart of our mandate is the promotion and protection of democratic integrity.
Promotion, protection, democratic integrity. Okay.
Yes. And also the prevention of violent conflicts in Africa. and we also promote peaceful resolution of disputes across the continent. And you will ask why. If you look at the democracy practice on the continent, not just on the continent, even in the globe, there has been a backsliding of our democracy. And so for us is, how do we stop the backslide in the first place? And if we can't totally stop it, how do we prevent it from happening? And how do we, even as we practice our democracy right now, how do we protect the integrity of the kind of democracy we practice on our continent, that it's more is underpinned with a developmental ethos, a deliberate and strategically, what's the word I'm looking for now? It's deliberate, that our democracy is deliberate.
Yeah.
It is strategic to give citizens to
Maybe all
achieve, to achieve the aspiration of citizens. Because you can't talk about democracy without certain things or parameters that have to be put in place. Yeah. And so for us, you look at from West Africa to South Africa to Eastern Africa, we've been seeing the kind of elections that leaves, you won't have hope really.
It's in the mouth.
Yes. When you see the kind of elections that we've been in, should I use the word turning out?
Yeah.
And so for us, it's how do you begin to push back and prevent a backslide? Because it's grievous. West Africa used to be the beacon of democracy on the continent.
Correct.
Right now, we have 4 countries under military rule. Yeah. And so that basically summarizes the kind of work we do and why we do what we do.
Oh.
And one thing is, if you recall in 2015, when the former president conceded before the elections the results were announced, it stopped a lot of things.
It did.
There could have been conflict in the country.
Widespread.
Yeah. But that singular act stopped a lot of things from going wrong. And so we always tell people who we meet up, or when we meet with stakeholders, that in as much as bad behavior can be emulated, good behavior can be copied. So how do you expand this good behavior that he has exhibited? Because ideally, that's what it should be.
Hear that?
That it's not about you. If you are a leader, it should be beyond you. You should be selfless. And so if you have a conversation with him, he would tell you he thought about the country when he made that decision. It was beyond him as a person. And he felt, look, for you to be a president, you must first have a country that stands for you to be a president. And so he felt it wasn't worth, making of the ashes. Exactly. And so we like to preach that message, like, how do you expand the principles of that singular act to other African countries? Because it's worth emulating.
Yeah.
And if you look at the conflicts we are having right now, it's usually as a result of, I no go agree, my credit was stolen, this was that, or is as a result of poorly or badly managed elections, usually the outcome of the elections. So that basically summarizes what we do. And even though we captured it nicely with the English that's read out.
If bad behavior can be copied, good behavior can be emulated. That really stood out for me. So the question that will come to a lot of minds is, now you have this very lofty mission.
Is it actually lofty?
It's kind of lofty. When you look at the way, just like you described it, when you look at the way things are currently structured in Africa, let me even just narrow it down to West Africa. Strong men, not strong institutions. Yeah. So the question now is, someone said when you want to eat an elephant, what do? You stab a bite at a time. The question on the minds of lots of persons viewing this is, how have you been taking a bite at a time? Let's now go into the practicality. What are some of the activities? What are some of the programs? And how have you been able to conceptualize, implement, and what have been some of the outcomes? Of course, for us on Dev Now, we believe in process. So we know you can't go 0 to 100 like Drake overnight. Just, I'm not even going to answer you 0 to 100 overnight, but those baby steps and those baby progress, those baby moves of progress. I mean, how do you do that? So bring us into your world.
I like the word you use, baby steps.
Yeah.
Because since inception, I would say that's what we've been doing, taking baby steps. Taking baby steps in a way that the steps you're taking will have a, when you're building a house, the foundation has to be solid. So for us, it's more about the foundation, first of all, and then taking the baby steps.
Yeah.
If you look at the work that we do, we have 3 pillars within which we work. And one of the first pillar, in no order of preference, would be the democracy and election aspect of the work we do. And like I said earlier, for us, it's about how do you protect and promote the integrity of our democratic process on the African continent. And so in that, what we do on that pillar is that we have different activities.
Yeah.
You know that for democracy to thrive, we must constantly interrogate this. So we have this event that we call Democracy Dialogue, where we bring stakeholders from across the continent to sit down and interrogate or appraise the kind of democracy that we practice. We take a look at where we're coming from as a continent. Where are we right now? And then where do we intend to go? In terms of our democracy? Is it realizing the aspirations of the people? And so recently we held that in Benin.
Yeah.
And the thing for this year was functional education, effective political leadership as a panacea to Africa's challenges and growth. We tried to look at how functional education with the right political leadership, effective political leadership, and how we address this, some of the challenges that we have and how it enhances our growth as a continent. So that's one activity on that pillar. The second would be, well, not your typical election observation mission.
Tell us about that.
But we have, on our democracy and election project, there's something called the West African Elders Forum, which also is under the peace and security pillar of the foundation.
So hold it. West African Elders Forum. Well, we're going to ask you about that later, but since you've now mentioned it, let's just go there. So who are those that make up the West African Elders Forum? And sincerely, how vibrant is that? Or should I call it pressure group?
Let me explain the 3 pillars before I talk about the West African Elders Forum. So we have democracy and elections, we have peace and security, and then we have women and youth development. An interesting thing is that we find from time to time that they all intertwine. I was talking about the democracy and election pillar, and I mentioned the peace and security pillar.
Yeah.
And we're interested in the West African Elders Forum.
Boom.
So the West African Elders Forum is a forum of former heads of states and governments in the West African sub-region, as the name implies, and elder statesmen and state women who have some level of integrity, who are credible, and who have a level of acceptance within the sub-region
And level of acceptance
and beyond. So it's we look at people who have made a difference. We also look for people who have attained probably the highest office in their home countries, and whose integrity you can say is still intact, and who is credible.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to talk to anybody, if I'm coming to an idiot, you know what they say, a lot of people come to the table of equity, well, must call by clean hands.
Yeah.
So if Jonathan is coming to talk to you to say, look, don't get yourself involved in constitutional coup, what we call a constitutional coup, where you amend the constitution to elongate your tenure, to favor you. So if he's coming to talk to you, he has the pedigree to come to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
And so you need people like that who have some sort of, like I said, integrity to come and speak to you. And so the Elders Forum, really what they do is they provide mediatory services. So they act as interlocutors to political leaders at the highest level towards addressing nascent challenges in our sub-region.
And sorry, Ugonna was some job. I think Ugonna speak that this question is inspired by Ugonna. I'm not saying you should mention any name. You get invited into the forum, or do you get handpicked? And if you always the question has a baby. I can't even believe I'm asking a question. It's Ugonna that we normally ask.
Yeah.
Have you had anybody, don't mention the emitters? We don't want to hear yes or no.
Mm-hmm. No, if the spirit leads, you can't say.
Can you see that this question is started?
I understand.
Now you understand. Is there anybody that has said, please, I want to be in that forum, and they say, oh God, no, it's not your type? Because you mentioned the integrity and level of access. So I told you to go, this question is inspired by Ugonna.
Okay, so obviously it's an initiative of the foundation. Sure. And so the onus is on us to provide the strategic leadership and direction. And in so doing, you have to be careful is not the word I'm looking for. You have to tick all the boxes. So we do the selection. We reach out to you. Okay. And if you are interested, most people who we reach out to are interested. And then, yes, there are some people who will be recommended. But because we also have like a committee, like an advisory body who will go through the names that have been, identified.
Identified. Okay.
And you do a merit or demerits. Because you don't want anybody who will cast aspersions on the forum, whose behavior will cast aspersions on the forum. It's a serious and very delicate issues that these elders engage in. So you don't want people who will, like I said, cast aspersions on the forum. So we have 10 or 11 of them at the moment. He lost one. And that's the former president of Liberia, Dr. Amos Sawyer. They are not leading. The elders are not leading because everybody, if you check the website, you know them. I can even call them off the top of my head. We have 3 from Nigeria, and we have.
I think you should call them. It's called the Gems.
Yes, we have President Olusegun Obasanjo. Yeah. We have General Abdulsalami Abubakar. Okay. Of course, we have President Goodluck Jonathan. We also have the former president of the Republic of Benin, President Boni Ayi. We have I mentioned Emotion, he's late. We have the former president of Liberia, Madam Sir Johnson. We have the former interim president of Mali, Traoré Diapondra. We have the former Prime Minister of Burkina Faso and former President of the ECOWAS Commission, Kadri Rodrigo. Yeah. We have the former Vice President of the Gambia, Fatoumata Tambaja. We also have, what's his name? The former president of the ECOWAS Commission, Mohamed Ibn Chambers, who was also the UNOWA's person and is now a special rep, I think. Yes. So those are the people we have in the sub-region. There are plans to expand the sub-region. I know I had reached out to a former vice president, I will not say of which country, as if I say to him so obvious. And he was excited about the offer. So yes, that's it. We had the former Prime Minister of Senegal, Madame Mimi Touré. Yeah. But Mimi had to be stepped down because she's gone back into politics. Okay. So the thing is, yes. So because it's a non-partisan forum, you can't be actively involved in politics. So because you must be neutral. Yeah. If neutral is not the right word, you must be non-partisan. Yes. So Those are the members of the board.
West African Forum and West African Elders Forum.
Yes, there are plans to expand to Eastern and Southern Africa. I mean, I have received calls from Southern Africa to expand the principles of the forum beyond the West African sub-region. And so we've gone further to East Africa. That's still a work in progress. A couple of them, I don't think the word should be a couple. A few of them have indicated interest. We're excited. So we'll see how that goes. But I think what I'm struggling with, or what we are struggling with, is how do we expand but you don't lose the impact of the forum? Because it's not about expansion for expansion's sake. It's not like for expanding the impact that you're doing. Yeah. So that's we're trying to find the balance. Oh well, we're picking headway.
Okay. All right, so let's come back to Nigeria, right? So you spoke about democracy, you spoke about elections. And this is one thing I have observed in Nigerian elections is that for you to gain office, you're going to have to spend an incredible amount of money. Billions, we know that as a fact. And a person who has spent, let's say, 3, 4, 5 billion now to get into...
You're being modest, but go on.
Yeah, I'm being quite modest. To get into the Senate or maybe a state governor, just whatever the case might be. And on the day of the election, when everything has been counted, he says, oh, my guy didn't win. And his best thought is how much money I've lost. Because a lot of these people go into elections because they see it as a lucrative business. I spent 3 billion there to make 32 billion at the end of the year. So what is organizations do or the way elections are run in Nigeria? Because as long as money is the most advantageous tool to get in that position, how violence ever be fully prevented in the elections?
It's interesting that you would ask me that question. And I would say it's not peculiar to Nigeria,
Yeah, I'm just using Nigeria because that's where I'm from.
Yeah, I understand. But it's not peculiar to Nigeria, and it's the kind of politics that is being played here, and which is the politics of the winner takes all.
Yep.
And so there are activities to address that, because if, like the West African Elders Forum, in 2020 to 2023, they were in Nigeria. 2022, before the elections, they were here to meet with all the presidential candidates.
Okay.
Not for the 4 main presidential candidates. Yes. So we met with the APC candidate, the PDP candidate, the Labour Party candidate, and the NNPP candidate. And the conversation was, if anybody does not emerge as a winner, whoever emerges as a winner should be magnanimous enough in their victory to embrace the opposition, because that's what politics is all about. I'm not for that's exactly. That's what I think she should be, and that's how we should be practiced, because your party can't know it all. Yeah. So it's about embracing and embracing the opposition, and also trying to promoting inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Because usually what you're talking about, or the question you just asked, is as a result of, so even if I don't win an election, but if I don't feel excluded from government, I probably will not want to toll the path of violence. But when you steal people's mandates and then you exclude them from government, that's when we start seeing these pockets of violence erupting. And so what we did was have a conversation, because we can only persuade you. We can't
force you.
Was to speak to everybody and preach that message. And it's so that was all.
I love what you said about being magnanimous with it. But some people may argue, and I've seen these arguments all over social media, that Nigerian political parties do not have shared ideals and values, but rather self-interest. So that would be that would be in conflict when it comes to being magnanimous in victory.
Well, as a foundation, what we continue to do is continue to push that people be magnanimous. We continue to push that people do the right thing, and to advise, to solicit, because we can't, like I said, we cannot force it down anybody's.
Yeah.
We can only persuade, and our activities show that in what we do, because we don't have. You're asking, we don't have any powers to do the things you're asking. For us, it is, like I said, do our bit to promote and protect our democratic integrity.
Okay, so I have another question. It might come out, it might sound a little tough, but in Nigeria, where you have over 200 million people and over 90 million people living under the poverty line, where you have over 250 tribes, with a plethora of languages being spoken, and getting somewhere, you have a great divide between Christianity and Islam. Do you think that Nigeria is a great hub for democracy? Because there's so much that divides us. And personally, I think it's a great cocktail for Nigeria. I think that's what makes Nigeria great. I think the fact that there's so many languages, so many cultures, is what makes us a giant of Africa. Probably why we have the best food in Africa, because it comes from different areas. In Nigeria, you have the Igbos, you have Yorubas, everywhere. But when it comes down to voting, especially democracy, that is when some says, oh no, I must vote for my Igbo brother. And the person says, no, I must vote for my Muslim brother. And the person says, no, it's the turn of the Yoruba. So I said, no, the Middle Belt hasn't gotten anything in the row. So I said, no, the South Belt has been, alienated. Do you think that Nigeria is a great hub for democracy? Or perhaps you shouldn't even be practicing it at the end of the day?
Would you rather we're under a military?
No, I'm asking you.
And I'm throwing the question back to you.
Is this for you to ask?
So would you rather we're under a military rule?
Well, the problem with having a military rule is that you have to depend on the character of that person. And if that person dies, for some reason the person is out of power, you have to depend on the great character of another person, and that's not sustainable. They're all in his role.
So if you look at when he read out Isham, one of the things you said was promoting inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yes, we have been divided along ethnic and religious lines.
Yeah.
We've seen over the past years, we've seen that the fault lines in our country has been further deepened. And so for us is how do we address this on the foundation? Because we're not government.
Yeah.
So what we do, or what we're planning to do, is to have a dialogue addressing this, trying to promote cohesion, social cohesion, because that's what we're trying. It's in the work, so I don't really want to talk much about in the area. So for us, that's one of the ways we know that we can try to address this. Because one thing I know that the foundation has is convening power.
Convening power.
That you're able to call people together to have a conversation. And so we use what we have to be able to try and to try to address or to push for ways to address some of these challenges that we see in the country.
Okay, so you talked about the last election, the West African Elders Forum. She's wondering, why was your issue? I just, when I saw it, I was quite enthused. That's the word, regarding that. And it's an initiative. I haven't even heard more from you here. And I hope that can actually make a lot of impact. So far, that forum has been existing for how many years?
Since 2021.
Okay. Yeah. So are there other areas that you can say, their interventions have done this, have done that, have done,
Like the name suggests, is the West African Forum. And so our work really as a foundation is not limited to Nigeria. We work across the sub-region and even on the African continent. And so in terms of making impact as a forum, what we've been able to do, in 2020, we're in the Gambia. 2021, we're in the Gambia for their elections. And so we mediated because there were some issues. The foreign stepped in luckily for us, we had four members actually of the forum at that election. 2 were leading other observation mission.
Yeah.
While 2 came with
In the capacity.
yes. And so when there was a case of crisis, they reached out to us immediately and they sold to action. We've also been to Liberia, which was just last year. We were there before the elections and after the elections. And George Weah handed over. He called his contender and considered even before the results were aired.
I recall.
So it tells you something. That's all I would say. We were also in Sierra Leone. So we've had our success stories. We've had some that are very tricky, but we've been able to navigate the ones that have been very tricky. But we've been making impact. It's not just about mediating or in elections, because what the forum does is actually it employs the tool of preventing diplomacy. So how do you prevent some of these issues from escalating? So that's the fulcrum of the forum. And then it also pushes for good governance in the sub-region. So that's basically far with
Now let's go further. Let me go further in terms of your mission statement. Promoting peace and reconciliation, advancing democratic governance, advocating for inclusive governance and economic development, promoting citizens' rights and continental and national integration. So let's look at other aspects. I know we've tarried a lot more on the democratic and governance aspects, and as well as, of course, that snowballs into security. Well, let's look at other aspects, say the women and youth aspects of your work, how far you've come, some of the activities and the success stories. We want to hear them.
So under the women and youth development, we have one activity we like to call the Women in Politics, where you have women in politics come and sit down and have a conversation. We've been able to vote, I think, 1 or 2, and we need to check. So it's like a dialogue. And then the recommendations from them we use to engage with the relevant stakeholders, be it the National Assembly, be it the ECOWAS Parliament, or even the ECOWAS Commission, or parliaments of different countries. So that's what we've been able to do. We've also been able to, in that regard, build the capacity of parliamentarians in one of the countries in the sub-region, because they were newly elected and most of them were new members who knew nothing. And so we looked at the composition for the sake of the women there. We decided, okay, do a capacity train, use their capacity to be able to effectively discharge their duties. And so that's what we've done. For the youth, if you look at, if you follow the events in Benin, you would notice that we signed an MOU with the UNDP.
Oh, we jumped to my next question. Well, let's go.
And so the objective of that is, how do you advance our different developmental activities at the foundation as UNDP there to promote democracy in the sub-region? And one of the pillars of that MOU was, how do you foster an intergenerational dialogue to be able to harness the wisdom of the diverse age groups towards equipping future leaders with the requisite knowledge and mentorship. So that's one of the pillars of what we signed in the MOU that was signed with the UNDP. How do we foster an intergenerational dialogue? Because you need to hear the voice and the other side. So Africa is a wasteful
population.
And so we need to be able to build or prepare the people coming with the right tools to be able to discharge, again, their leadership roles, because they are actually the ones who will be the leaders in the next few years. So that is what we're doing at least on our women and youth development.
Okay, does the number of women in politics in, let's just keep it to West Africa. It doesn't bother you. And does it, considering the kind of work you do, you said something earlier, you can advocate, you can talk, you can persuade, or you can force. So with the number of women in politics, whether elected or appointed, and the ones canvassing, on the sidelines, what did they encourage you to do was?
It is worrisome to anybody who is really interested in the advancement of the continent that the level of participation of women, or both the level of participation, the opportunity for women is low. It should be worrisome, because whether you like it or not, whether to sound maybe sexist, if you want an issue talked about, you get men to talk about it. If you want the job done, they get women. And that's the truth. I have only done the thing. But that's the
I just said,
I'd like to go to something you said. When the founder of the foundation, Goodluck Jonathan, when he was in office, his first thing, she had an initiative called Women for Change, which was advocating 35% of women representation in politics.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that I think that's why we sort of borrow that into what the foundation is doing regarding women.
I remember that. No, I don't remember that happening. I was not in the government then, and
It was everywhere.
no, but that's not
Went to states, every state.
no. But I
35%.
the foundation is what's the word I'm looking for? Well,
insulated from that sort of thing.
yes,
Totally independent.
it's totally independent.
Okay.
To when we say that word, non-governmental independence, we are non-governmental, we are independent. But the fighting, or I won't say fighting for the rights of women, promoting the rights of women, or promoting that women should have more participation, and not just in politics,
Yeah.
or saying across the board.
Of course, what? Yeah.
I think it's just the normal or the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So if you look at His Excellency's tenure as a president, women in position starts, ordinarily nobody would have given them. How they performed,
That's
their
a story for another day.
story for another day, but he gave them the opportunity. Because what we're asking is, give women the opportunity. So how you perform, it's no longer up to me who gave you the opportunity, it's up to you. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's exactly what.
So let's not even bring back the aspect of you want something done, get it. Like you said earlier, how they perform, let's leave it that way.
I have to side without this.
They're done up. That's no audience healthy.
It's not a gamble. I want to say about the Women for Change initiative. I was trying to marry that with the former president division while he was in office. I think he,
Promoted that.
he did promote that.
It is 35% affirmative action is a UN thing.
Sure.
The UN thing.
Yeah.
And so it's any right-thinking government should be able to implement that. So that's by the side. Why women are important is when you look at the continents, you see that we have a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
You have a lot of insecurity.
Yeah.
You do an analysis or a research. What demographic is the worst hit? It's women
Sure. It's children.
and children.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you cater to them
Sure.
or for them? Why wouldn't you it's not even going the extra mile for women. It's just saying give women equal opportunity at the male counterpart. I know. Just
Get the job done.
No, my
Then wait. Now you said get the job done. Then later you now said how they performed. Let's not open that chapter how they performed because you are inflated from that.
But if you do an analysis now, if you do an analysis of the number of women who have held positions and the number of men who have held positions, you cannot compare the number of letdowns.
Is that?
You can't. You can't.
Let's move on to the
We'll be moving on.
So we get out to numbers.
Now, so let's go deeper with the UNDP. You've mentioned, how to get the voice of youth heard. What else again is in the plan regarding that? Have you started implement? I know we just signed that like a couple of months ago.
Yes, it was an implement.
But what else is in the works? I mean,
there's also the whole prevention of conflicts in West Africa and Central Africa. The MOU covers both Western and Central Africa. So how do we also prevent conflicts? How do we combat hate speech? How do we build a repository of knowledge towards conflict prevention?
Yeah.
So all those are in the works. It's part of what the MOU, it's part of what the MOU speaks to. But we've not started implementation. We're about to. So when we start, we'll talk more about it.
Okay, so what is your organization's, what do you see when it comes to Nigerian terrain of politics, governance, democracy in the next 10 years? What would you like to see if that paints us a picture?
Close. I think we would like to see that the work that we're doing is making impacts. That 10 years down the line, we will not be having the conversation of poorly or badly managed elections.
Okay.
And that elections will be credited, the votes will count, and our democracy will meet the aspiration of the citizens, that the social contracts between government and the citizens will be honored. So that's what we hope to see 10 years down the line. And that the fragile democracy in some countries in the sub-region will be further strengthened. And they return to democracy in some of the countries that are going through a rocky patch. And when we say democracy, it should be democracy in the sense of, like I said, meeting the aspirations of citizens. Because when you look at what citizens are asking and what is going on, there's a disconnect. I can't vote and then my vote will not matter. So why do you want me to come out every 4 years? Or every other AKD, if you came market day to come out and vote again? If it's not going to count, you're going to see there already is a disaffection in the whole electoral process. So for us, with the work we do, the work other organizations do, we hope that in the next 10 years, I will be telling a different story.
Is there anything that you believe that not the government, but we as Nigerians or the individual citizens could do better? So we would promote peace, reconciliation. Is there anything, maybe from what you've observed in the last elections, maybe conversations you saw that people had, maybe on social media? Is there a way that we can conduct ourselves?
As citizens, we really have to be tolerant.
Okay.
Personally, I think one of the challenges that we have is the fact that we're so fractured along ethnic and religious lines that it's worrisome. Some conversations online scare you. Can we be more circumspect in the kind of conversations we have, and knowing that we all have a duty to promote the peace that we're looking for? That's what I'll ask the citizens to do. But I don't think we should put the burden so much on citizens, but rather on government. And government is doing even half. And I'm talking generally across the sub-region. If governments that we have in the sub-region doing half of what they should be doing, I don't think we'll be having some of the challenges that we have. Because really, the buck stops at the table of the leadership. What should you do with that? So it's from Nigeria to to Togo, to Ghana, it's the same challenges, it's the same situation. And so it points to one thing, the quality of leaders that we're churning out. And that's why we had the dialogue we had this year. That effective political leadership, having functional education and effective political leadership will really help in addressing the challenges we have and promoting the growth of our continent.
So, but are you hopeful effective leadership with the sovereign job? Are you hopeful?
That we have it right now?
No, that we're going to have.
We're going to have it.
One thing I know that you can't do without is hope. The moment you lose hope, I feel or I believe you stop believing. So yes, I'll continue to have hope. That's all I can have. Have hope that the things that we are doing, that the work that we do would matter and make impact in the long run. And that we will get to the price eventually. I will be hopeful. That's all I have. As you continue doing the things that you're doing as a foundation, the things that other organizations are doing and doing it rightly, eventually, I believe that things will change.
All right. But let's probably, I know you've mentioned some of the success stories, especially in the West African Elders Forum. Are there other ones that you're excited about, considering the fact that you work in a tough space? That you want to, you want the DevNow audience to know about.
When you say tough space, what do you mean by tough space?
You can advocate, you can persuade, but you cannot force.
Yeah.
We'll go now. Don't start violence in that election coming up in Colombia. I don't even know where that came from, but it just came. You
know where people live in.
I think I do. I shall.
Another Brazil is that tall eating people.
You don't even know where it is.
I think it's either Anam. She's right. I think it's either Anam.
Yeah, I think it's Anam.
I know it's definitely not in the States.
Yeah. So, so you can't force the Goodluck to do that. You can only come, persuade, hope that, that's why I said in the top space you work. Now you get.
Yeah.
So, success stories that excite you that when you're going and say, this one has not yet worked. This one, we need the hand of God. But this one at least has worked. Let's hold this one close to our chest.
So, the forum, like I said,
not just the forum, I mean the entire foundation.
So the forum mediates
Okay.
in very challenging situations. And so, because of the kind of work we do in regards to the forum, I can't mention some. Because some are still the work in progress.
Yeah.
We're still working. And because of the delicate nature of this, remember that you are dealing with political stakeholders at the highest level.
Yeah.
So there are certain things you will not say so that you don't mar the outcome of your mediation process. But as a foundation, other than that, I think we've been over the years since inception. I joined in 2019. And so I've been there for 5 years. And so for the past 5 years, there have been successes in other areas, like the dialogue series I talked about, the recommendations that come out from there. We've been able to use it to engage with different stakeholders. The keynote speaker for this last event was Professor Olubayi Kenya. And he sent me an email some days ago listing 8 fallouts from the dialogue that has happened to him. And I said, that's, for us, is always one of the outputs we look forward to. He's been able to go on to do certain things as a result of that dialogue. He's been able to further engage with the Edo State government, I think, on education, on something on education e-learning. He's been able to set up something in other students from Nigeria. I can't remember what. And we were like, that's the fallout. So for me, that's one success. So one success again is the fact that we're able to contribute to knowledge generation in the field of peace and security. In 2022, we carried out a research on the nexus between banditry and terrorism. And we published that report. We had the then NSA at the event, some security chiefs at the event. And I think 3 weeks or so down the line, that's when the office of the NSA released, I think, a policy paper saying that bandits were terrorists.
Okay.
So for us, that's something that we're proud of. We've also, I was talking about the outcome of the last dialogue that we had and how it has gone on to, what's the word? To
Great ripple effect.
yes, the ripple effect in not just Nigeria, not at the national level alone, subnational level, and also across the continent, because we're seeing the results in Kenya, in Uganda, and we checked the other country that Professor Lubai says to me. So those are some of the success stories that we have. We don't live for the limelight. We'll rather do things and let people give us feedback of how it has impacted them. I know traveling across the sub-region, Gambia, Mali, and when people walk up to you and you find out that you work there, they say, oh, thank you so much for what you did. And so for me, that's the biggest commendation that we can get. That's the biggest success story. We may never put a name to the person who said this, but that for me is it's what keeps us going. For me, that's what keeps me going. I've been approached several times. I said, you don't know what you did when you did this. Be it recently in Liberia and in Gambia, even here, So that tells us that we're doing something. You may not see the immediate result the way we want to see it, like if there's a flooding or if there's you go to visit people in the identity camps, you provide everything for them. That's immediate. We may not see it immediately, but these are small but incremental steps of progress or that you're sowing and it yielding results. But these are not results that you probably will see.
Coconut. You very much. All right. So what's next?
For the
Going forward, for the foundation, going forward.
Like I said earlier, it's how do you expand the principles of the forum and the impact. So how do you expand the principles of the forum to other regions of the continent without this impact? And how do we also harness the diverse wisdom or the wisdom of the diverse age groups towards building a better future for our continent? So we're a work in progress. I like to think in my head that we're just 5 years in here, because that's when I joined. So for me, that's the thinking.
Yeah.
But yes, it's been there since 2019. It was established 2019, I think. Not I think, yes, it was established 2019. But for me, I just think, okay, because there was a restructuring. And that restructuring, that's when I came in 2013.
What was that? Established 2015.
Sorry,
And then came in
2015. And there was a restructuring and I came 2019. So I like to think that we're 5 years old and we're not doing badly. We can do more. And we're aspiring to do more. And we are committing to doing that.
Okay, beautiful. So at this point, we always get our guests to appreciate them. Donors, because of course, you don't have money down there.
So we have partners, and our partners have been, partners that took a chance on us. One of our partners is the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, OSIWA. OSIWA no longer has an office in Nigeria, but OSIWA took a chance on us in 2020, and so they've been fantastic. Our other partner will be the International IDEA. So it's not in terms of money. We have an MOU with them. And so for us, even as a foundation, because of the work we do in the sub-region, we also have strategic partnership with ECOWAS. We must work with the ECOWAS Commission. They're not donors for him. They're partners. That's why I use donor, I use partners.
Okay.
They are partners. Which other partner might say? Sorry. Even OSF, the Open Society Foundation itself. And Nigerians that have supported us. A few of them have supported. And so we're grateful for the partners that we have there.
All right. So I guess this is where we'll draw the curtain on the... If you have something else you want to put in there. All right. Again, this is where we're going to draw the curtain today on this episode of Dev Now. We want to say a very big thank you to you for coming through and Gilmore.
And thank you for all you do for her.
Thank you for having me. It's what we all do. I think, like I always like to tell colleagues in the sector, that the work that we do, it's not your typical work that other organizations are doing. Because I think that the work that I do should complement the work that you do.
Yeah.
It's not about striving or competing for the same space.
Yeah.
It's about playing complementary roles to each other. So really, the work we do, we can't do the work we do without the work that you are doing or the work that you do. So it's all the work that we do. Why in this together?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's have one country, this is home. I mean, people ask, why do you do the work you do? Because we don't have any other hope.
Yep.
And nobody's coming to save us.
Nope. We have to save ourselves.
I think that's very important.
Nobody's going to save us. All right. Well, it's been a good one. It's been an interesting one. Feel free to comment. Please comment. Just feel free to comment. Share the content. Share the video. Share the short videos. Even if you guys share the full thing. Okay, that's why we have those shorts there for you. Please share them, comment, like, follow the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation also on their platforms, on the socials and their website. They're very active on their website. They keep updating stuff. There's some websites you go on and 2024. The content that is still foremost is probably 2019 or 2020. That website is just there so that in the website, they update regularly. Follow them, see what they're doing, comment, critique. Yeah, but constructively, please.
Yeah.
And I think I should also say this, since we have a platform to say critique doesn't mean that you should insult somebody. I may not agree with the woman, but I don't need to insult her. All I need to tell her is that, Auntie, I don't agree with the ring that you're putting on.
Is it always like this?
This is the dad.
I don't need to say, look at the ugly finger, look at the ugly ring. There's no way we insult you and we won the section. What? God. Well, so I'm going to end it. Thank you very much. Follow the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. We'll talk about the ring behind cameras. It's a wrap.
Thank you so much for tuning into Dev Now. It's episode 10. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, as we says, like, follow, share, comment, critique. We love you.